a short overview of modern, fast, and reliable hosting for the Magento products. Unfortunately, the format of this presentation does not allow me to dive into the details, so I will try to cover only most important areas. It's only 10 minutes. Usually, it makes sense to use at least one dedicated server to host Magento. For heavy loaded websites, one server will not be able to satisfy the requirements. In this case, a group of servers is used. To understand how many servers you need, you should look on your website statistic, traffic. Your customization may also affect performance, and number of checkouts per hour is also a very important factor. For the web nodes, CPU is the most important factor, so you should think about fast multi-core system. For database server, input-output usually is more important. If you predict that load may vary a lot, you should think about cloud-based solution, which will allow your system to scale fast for a suitable cost. Okay, so let's talk about web nodes. Web nodes are mostly CPU-bound, and so it's better to have fast multiprocessor server. And typical PHP process may use up to 30-70 megabytes of RAM, so it's recommended to have always enough memory to avoid any swapping. Swapping is critical. Magento files need to be placed only on local or memory-based file system. You should avoid any kind of NFS usage except for images. It's very important to enable PHP byte caching. For example, APC or Xcache or eAccelerator. Disabling stat request and APC will speed up Magento as well. Another important thing is to serve static images files separately with different domain or number of subdomains and different web server. Nginx could be recommended as fast and very efficient HTTP daemon. Consider to use a dedicated node for administrative tasks like cron jobs and Magento admin panel. Also, you should install memcached to store sessions if you have more than one web nodes. Database is not an option for session storage. You should use round-robin balancing for multi-node setup. Common failure is to use some sticky-based algorithms or cookie-based algorithm to spread the load. Usually it gives very, very negative result. Okay, so what to use, Apache or Nginx? While Apache is the most common solution for any PHP hosting, other options are preferable for heavy load. We are recommending to use Nginx plus PHP to save memory and use modern operating system features. For example, asynchronous input-output, dev poll, send file, API, etc. Also, Nginx will allow you to do SSL offloading, load balancing, and web server health checking just with one product. It's very powerful and fast. So let's talk about web balancing schemes. If you're running multiply web nodes, then load balancing is a must. It's possible to build different schemes for this. I have listed some most popular, I believe. The first one is Nginx as HTTP server for static files, and Apache with PHP model as backends. So it's basically a reverse proxy scheme. You can use modern path to show you real IP addresses in the logs. What is good in this scheme? You can very easily implement it on already existing system and switch from, for example, one node configuration to multi-node configuration with very minor configuration changes. The second scheme is Nginx as HTTP server and load balancer and PHP in FastAGI mode. The main difference is that there is no Apache web server involved at all. As benefit, you will have much more free memory and faster hosting. You will have more reliable system after all. Third option, which is also very popular, is to use Varnish as load balancer and reverse proxy server. It may also cache static images and do active health checking of the web nodes. You can set up different customizations to make caching more optional than standard Magento installation provides. Also, there are a lot of other options like high availability proxy, hardware load balancers, and light HTTPD, etc. We do not cover them on our review because of time limitations. So, what about PHP FastCGI? FastCGI is a standard protocol to separate application server from the web server. We are recommending to use PHP FPM API instead of standard FastCGI manager. Why it is better? Because it has adaptive process spawning, advanced logging. For example, you could log all your requests which are slower than 4 or 3 seconds to catch all problematic pages. You can always see a statistic, detailed statistic for every web node, so you always know what does this web node do, and optimize your system properly. The good thing that from PHP 5.3, it is the part of standard PHP core, so you don't need to apply any patches for PHP anymore. You can use standard PHP from your operating system repository. So, sessions. One of the most common problems I see when I'm doing audit is improper session configuration. It's very important to configure session storage properly. Wrong configuration may cause different user problems, which are very annoying and hard to reproduce. For example, random logouts, shopping cart inconsistencies, etc. For system with only one web node, you should not care at all about any configuration tweaking. Magento will use file-based session handler by default, and this is the best option for one node system. But if you are using multi-core configuration, multi-node configuration, sorry, you need to use memcached. Other options like fileless or NFS or database should never be used because it is performance killer. Another common mistake, typical error, is to use second stable memcache extension instead of third one. Because third one is marked as beta and second is marked as stable. This will cause a lot of problems because Pickle Memcache 2 do not support session locking as standard file session handler do. And this will cause a lot of problems with any Ajax-enabled application, not only Magento, and very strange and hardly reproducible bugs, which will affect your visitors. Okay, so let's talk a bit about database MySQL Server. Database server is one of the most important nodes in any successful Magento hosting environment. We are recommending to use MySQL 5.1 or 5.5 versions. It is recommended to set up replication from early beginning, both for backup and performance reasons. If you're using MySQL 5.1, it does make a sense to try InnoDB High Availability plugin. It works better than standard MySQL engine, and also in 5.5 it was replaced. So in 5.5 you have no option; it will always be your case. For binary log, we are recommending to use row-based logging. It's not standard one statement-based. It's more reliable and faster. It is very important to enable slow query logging from beginning to investigate problematic queries. One of the good options is to use Percona XtraDB server. It's MySQL fork, which will provide much more details and much better statistics when you're experiencing problems. It's supported by Percona company, and we are testing our products with this solution as well. if you configure it to slave, don't forget that you should enable it in Magento configuration. It's quite obvious, but I saw a lot of configuration where slave is configured, but not in use. And of course, do the checking, because one minor mistake in configuration will make it looking fine, but it will not serve any requests. Okay, one of the things one of the very important things for any database server is backups. Common mistake is to use MySQL dump on a production server, which is absolutely unacceptable because this tool do table level locking when doing backups. So your server will be completely down during the backup process. You should consider different backups methods. For example, file systems with snapshot support, like Zeta file systems, or extra backup tool from Percona, or some commercial solutions. Another possible option is to set up additional slave for the backup purposes and do backup from it. Okay, so going to next. Then another very important thing for any Magento hosting is monitoring. Without advanced and complete monitoring, you will not be able to detect problems and address ongoing issue. It is very recommended to set up monitoring from the very early beginning to have enough data to compare when a problem occurs. Otherwise, you will waste too much time when it arrives. Internally, we are using Cacti and Nagios tools for monitoring. It's perfect, brilliant open source utilities, which will give you enough data to discover the problems. Also, one of the recommendations is to install ATOP tool on every server. It's very important, it's very powerful and feature-rich as a replacement, which will enable you to use to see statistic for your systems for every minute of running, of operating, and you will find, for example, that what happens on a peak time when you had problems, which systems are busy, which systems are not too much loaded, and so on. And it's always a good idea to add to this monitoring tool as more data as you can. For example, detail MySQL graphs and so on. Because this will allow you to scale well and predict your problems and solve them fast. Okay, so the conclusion. As you could see, there is not too much Magento specifics in my slide. Most of the recommendations are valid for any PHP and MySQL hosting. Web changes very fast, new tools appears, new protocols come into the game, new hardware options became available. We are always trying to test new solutions on the market to provide the best possible recommendation for our clients. We also provide optimization packages as part of our Magento consulting services. You could also find a lot of useful information in our performance white paper, published on magento.com website. I would be very glad to answer your question after this session and by email. Thank you.